So, on the second press bike, the Rieju Aventura 500. Really excited for this one. It's again a budget bike, but that doesn't mean it's a bad bike. I'm really curious how this one rides. So it feels completely different than the Moto Morini Escape. It feels lighter. It feels more like an how do you say that? GS or something like that. You're more in the bike than on the bike, which is nice. So in this video we're going to do the first impressions of the bike. So I'm gonna ride it a little bit and I'll give you my first impressions, and afterwards we do a full review and maybe a comparison to another bike. So I'm really looking forward to it. Again, really happy that Motomundo and Rieju in this case gives me the opportunity to test this bike out. First impressions, I think this one is a little bit nicer than the Moto Morini Escape, but we'll see. So, as I said, you feel more that you're in the bike than on the bike, and I like that now because it's a bit bad weather, so I'm feeling more protected from the weather than on the Moto Morini. I do notice that this bike has a little bit less of a, how do you say that? A little bit less horsepower. So it's 500 cc's. I'm not sure how many horsepower it has, but I will show you that of course in the full review and in the description down below. But yeah, it feels okay. It feels nice. It does. I think the graphics are, yeah, a little bit underwhelming. They're good, they're sharp, but I don't like the design of the graphics. I do like the design of the bike, by the way. I think it reminds me of an Africa Twin. It's quite wide. Yeah, liking it until now. So what makes this bike special is this bike has a second fuel tank, and that means it should have a range for around 1000 kilometers. Which is pretty nice, especially if you're going to desolate places or something like that. But yeah, you can turn off the ABS. There's a dedicated switch for it. It's more catered towards off-road. The suspension is fully adjustable, both front and rear. I do notice there's a little spot for a steering damper. I think there are versions in the world that has steering dampers. I do like the seating position. It's pretty comfortable, and yeah, it has steering. The handlebar is pretty high. Of course, you cannot compare this to the mighty KTM 890 Adventure, but yeah, this one is a lot cheaper than that. It's pretty comfortable, which is nice. It's pretty relaxed. Yeah, liking it until now. So I'm now, the button here on the right is for the second fuel tank, and now of course on the left you have a USB charger, which is nice. Do like that. more here. I almost get a chopper feeling. Okay, but let's go on the highway. I will get back to you once I'm on a more quieter road with less wind. Stay tuned. Wind protection is pretty good, by the way. I think the wind protection is better than on the Motorini, for example. You're more protected against the wind. I barely have any turbulence, which is nice. And I'm riding around 100 kilometers an hour, a little bit more, and still pretty good. Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm not sure what this lower section has to do. It looks like the thing from the Africa Twin, but I'm not sure what it's doing over there. Doesn't have any function until now, but maybe I'm forgetting something. Mirrors are pretty good, pretty big. It doesn't have an on-off effect, which is nice, so it's pretty smooth. Of course, it's not the most aggressive of bikes. Yeah, I'm liking it until then. I do like the screen in the dark. It looks a lot better than in white, and it changes automatically when going into a dark area like the tunnel, for example. So I like that. It's a little bit high on revs, by the way, but it's a 500cc 2-cylinder, so yeah, it's not that weird. Okay, back to the first impressions. As I said, the first impressions were pretty good. I'm starting to know this bike right now, so I've done around 100 kilometers, I think, a little bit more, and I think this is a really good bike for the money. I also saw on the internet that this bike is also in another brand, Chinese brand, which is, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it looks almost like the same bike, but there is a big difference, and that is that the tuning of this engine is a little tuned for more off-road use. And also this one has a 21-inch front wheel and an 18 at the rear, and the other one was a 19 at front and 17 at the rear, if I'm correct. So it's a bit of a different bike, but it's the same platform. But Rieju is a Spanish brand, and they're known for their small scooters, dirt bikes. And when I was young, around 16 years old, I think Rieju was also a known brand in the small 50cc mopeds. That's where I know them from. But this is their first big bike, and they did it right first time. So there are some things that I really like about this bike. First off is the seating position. I think the first impressions are pretty good. I do think the seat is a bit harsh, so could be better, but I like the fact that it's pretty low to the ground. I also like the engine. I think it's a really good engine. It's 500cc 2-in-line. It has around 40 horsepower or something like that. Not that much, or maybe 52, maybe 62 at top. I'm not sure, but I will leave it down below. But it's a really smooth engine. It doesn't vibrate. It sounds okay. You hear the intake, which is nice. Yeah, overall first impressions are pretty good. So I was having my turn signal on for about half an hour, which is not good. Also, what I noticed that the lights are illuminated, the buttons, which is nice. But it's the same issue with the Monomorini. They're not backlit, they're just lighted up, but I'm sure that if it's really dark you cannot see what is what, but you know how to find them, so that's a good thing. And of course, what is really interesting is the second fuel tank, and let's see if we can get it empty. Oh, this is my microphone from my Cardo, which is flapping all around. Should make a new one for that. Yeah, overall I'm pretty impressed. I will do a walk around in 1 second, in a couple of seconds. Can I talk about something more? Yeah, suspension, pretty good. It's adjustable. It's of course not top of the line suspension, but it's okay. It's good. It's not bad at all. Let's find a quiet spot to do a walk around and show you some stuff. And then I will give my final conclusions for the first impressions. Look at those beautiful tulips. Welcome to Holland. Let's find the spot. It's pretty nice. It's I think the engine is based on a Honda or something like that I've read. Honda 500cc, same as the NX 500. Okay, let's do a little walk around on this bus stop. Hopefully there is no bus coming, and otherwise I will get on a bike and go away, of course. So I will leave it on. Oh my god, there it is. So, little walk around. So it really looks like an Africa Twin, but what I really like is that you get standard a lot of equipment. So you get spoked wheels. I'm not sure if they're tubeless. I do think so, but I'm not sure. Adjustable suspension, pretty beefy hand guards. I like the exhaust, I like the design of it. It's not an ugly exhaust. Sort of carbon look panels over here. It's just a cable clutch. A pretty okay skid plate. Radial brakes, they're from a brand that I don't know, but they're radial, which is nice. You even get steel braided brake lines. And for your info, I've had a Z900 RS, a Kawasaki. That bike was around 14,000 euros, and it didn't have steel brake lines. So the rear shock is also adjustable, toolless. The tires look like STRs, but they aren't. They're another brand. Really like the tail light. LED tail light, LED turn signals, I think. Let's check it out. Yeah, LED turn signals. Nice. These bags are not standard. I got them from Giant Loop. I use them on pretty much all of my adventure bikes. Nice steel gear selector. Nice steel brake. Yeah, pretty complete bike. I'm not sure if this is adjustable. I don't think so, but if I'm honest, you don't need it. I think it's really good. So let's get back on the bike. I also like the gear selector because it has a little animation when you go to second or third gear, which looks nice. Now, if I'm honest, I think this bike is a better deal than the Monomorini. Well, yeah, it's not a bad bike. Absolutely not. I've ridden bikes that are far worse. I've also ridden bikes from China that I was like, okay, I cannot say anything positive about this. But this bike is pretty good. Of course, I'm not saying this because I am sponsored. Sorry, I'm sponsored by Rieju or Motomundo, the importer. I did get the chance to test this. but I always test my bikes in one condition, and that's if I can be honest. Of course, you always have to put a little nuance in if something is not right, but in this case I'm quite happy with this bike. It's not a torture to sit. Good options. This bike has around 5,100 kilometers, and it still rides as new, so that also says something about the build quality. Yeah, it's solid. So, final conclusions, first impressions. I think this is a really good bike. I'm looking forward to test this bike out a little bit more. I have it for a week, so I will try to put a lot of miles on it, or kilometers, and I will use it as my personal bike. So I will take it to work, doing a little bit of commuting, maybe doing some twisties, maybe a little bit of off-road. We'll see, but I'm quite happy until now. So this bike costs around, I think, 9,000 euros in the Netherlands, so it should be a lot cheaper in other countries, because we are quite expensive with our bikes. But yeah, for now I am pretty happy. So if you like this video, please leave a like, do it with a thumbs up, and if you are new to this channel, please consider to subscribe if you want to see more of this kind of videos. I test all kinds of bikes, cheap bikes, more expensive bikes, and of course my own bikes. So see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye. If you want to see my newest video, tap here. If you want to see my recommended video for you, tap here. And if you want to subscribe, tap here. Thanks for watching. Tap here, or tap here.